Very good morning, students. Today we will cover Digi class for your history, chapter 1, Tracing changes throughout 1000 years. फाइन, हम Digi class के थ्रू जो है बेटर समझेंगे हिस्ट्री को कि कैसे हम 1000 years अगो यानी कि 1000 साल पहले जो कुछ भी हुआ था उसके बारे में जो है हम जान सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो उसकी Digi को आज हम कवर करते हैं.
Have you ever seen an old photo album with pictures of your parents and grandparents? Photo albums can be called a source for us to look into what happened in the past. But what sources did people have in ancient times before cameras were invented? Sources of looking in ancient times are different. Let's illustrate some sources used to reconstruct history: manuscripts, inscriptions, and archaeology. Manuscripts were written about 1,000 years ago. They were written by hand. The word itself is derived from Latin manuscriptum, which means written by hand. They were usually written on palm leaves, known as punna. Palm leaves were dry and cut into pages that were tied together to make books. Manuscripts were also written on the bark of trees known as birch that grows in the Himalayas. The manuscript, about 150 years ago, was used to prepare one of the earliest printed texts of the Rig Veda. That is preserved in a library at Pune in Maharashtra. Manuscripts were written in various languages, majority of them written in Sanskrit, and some of them in Prakrit and Tamil too. They were preserved in temples and monasteries. Manuscripts are not only religious, they could be about the lives of kings, science, and medicine. Unfortunately, manuscripts were perishable. Sometimes they were eaten up by insects and destroyed. Even today, manuscripts play a significant role in preserving the collection of scripts of our traditional and cultural heritage. Inscriptions are writings that were written on rock or hard surfaces, such as stone, or metal. Have you ever seen any writing or design inscribed on a hard surface such as stone? Share these examples in your classroom. Inscriptions were portrayed or presented in different languages such as Greek and Aramaic. Many of the inscriptions also depicted religious activities in the past. Inscriptions were prescribed on the walls and pillars of the temples. Kings inscribed and recorded their orders so that people could read and obey them. There is an inscription that bears on the pillar at Salma that Ashoka was against any divisions among the monks in the society. There were inscriptions on Roman coins. Thus, the importance of inscriptions is that it gives us the information about the Indian history. Archaeology is the scientific study of the remains of the past. Ones who studied about the remains of the buildings and monuments made of bricks and stones are called archaeologists. They usually dig and study about different kinds of tools, weapons, pottery, coins, artwork. Through the discovery of stone tools, they came to know about the people of past. Through the cave paintings, they came to know that people hunted deer. They also looked for the things that people ate in the past, such as the seeds of grains or the wood that had been burned. People who found and studied about the past were scholars and referred to the information that was found in manuscripts, inscriptions, and archaeology. Let us recall what we now know about discovering sources from the past. Manuscripts were written on palm leaves known as panna, or on the bark of trees such as birch. Early manuscripts were written in languages such as Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Tamil. Inscriptions are writings created on rock or hard surfaces. Inscriptions were written in different languages such as Greek and Aramaic. Archaeology is the scientific study of the remains of the past. Those who study about the remains of the buildings and monuments made of bricks and stones are called archaeologists. Listen carefully. Here's a short story about two friends, Johnny and Peter. Johnny had come to town to buy a dog. When he opened the door of his house, the dog ran straight into the kitchen. Peter was cooking food for his birthday party. Johnny chose the dog and took it home. Peter went to the door and opened it. All of a sudden, a big crowd of people in the garden started singing happy birthday. He spent a while looking in a pet shop for a dog. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Could you comprehend the above? Wasn't it all a bit puzzling? Now, listen to this. Johnny had come to town to buy a dog. He spent a while looking in a pet shop for a dog. Johnny chose the dog and took it home. When he opened the door of his house, the dog ran straight into the kitchen. Peter was cooking food for his birthday party. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Peter went to the door and opened it. All of a sudden, a big crowd of people in the garden started singing happy birthday. You didn't understand this earlier, as the events that made up the action were not in a logical order. So you now realize that correct sequence is important for us to understand scenarios. The same happens when you study history. Events need to be recorded in a sequence or order. But how is it possible to arrange the innumerable events that have occurred across the ages? And why is it important to do so? Let us look into this. When a very young child plays with bricks, to the child, a single brick may mean a house. But as the child grows up, he or she learns to join a lot of bricks together to make a house. In the process, the child has developed a sense of sequencing and interdependence as one brick is placed after another. Now imagine each brick was a date in history. We arrange the dates in the order of the relationship of significant events or periods, that is, in the order in which they occur. This is known as chronology. But how do we demonstrate the sequence of historic events that have occurred through many centuries? Timelines help us to visually demonstrate the chronology of events. To understand timelines, let us look at the example of the timeline of the Indian civilization. Events are fixed on the timeline according to the dates of their occurrence in a chronological sequence. A timeline is divided into equal time segments, months, years, or centuries, with one end representing the oldest events and the other end the most recent events. Now, we can recognize that a timeline converts the time sense into the space sense. Once history is organized in chronological order, it helps us understand and appreciate the historical relationships of years to events and personalities, thus making us chronologically conscious. Chronologies allow us to see how things have changed over time, or to understand scenarios before and after an event. Events in history can be analyzed now from multiple perspectives, that is, their location, duration, and the extent of an event. Cause and effect relationships can be established, which explain the connections among people and events. Dates are important if we are to remember chronologies, but dates do not become important on their own. They become important because a particular set of events around that time was important. The importance of dates changes with changes in the point of emphasis. We explain this with the following example. Some British historians describe British rule in India according to the rule of each Governor General, namely Hastings, Wellesley, Benton, Dalhousie, Canning, Lawrence, Lytton, Curzon, Hardinge, Herland, and Mountbatten. The dates were linked to these personalities, describing their activities, policies, and achievements. It did not mention the historic roles played by Indians, and hence the recorded history of India's independence struggle remains partial. Definitely, a new format was needed. The earlier dates would be replaced with new dates. Many times, events occur as a process over an era or phase of time. They cannot be determined on a single day. It is said that India gained its freedom on 15th August 1947. But this does not mean that freedom was achieved instantly on this day. It involved many years of agitation and campaigns. 15th August 1947 is recognized as marking India's beginning as a sovereign nation. On the basis of some commonly linked events, we break up time and analyze it into different phases. This division of time into different phases of the past is known as periodization. Periodization becomes important for us to learn history. It helps to quickly reflect our ideas about events and changes from one period to the next. Periodization of the history of one place may not be the same as that of another. They all have their own characterization. In 1817, James Mill, a Scottish economist and political philosopher, in his book, The History of British India, divided Indian history on the basis of religious periods, Hindu, Muslim, and British periods. Though successfully accepted, Mill's conception of dividing Indian history on the basis of religion has many flaws. Because people and rulers of various faiths have lived in India, classification of an era on the basis of a particular faith would be incorrect. Similarly, classifying India on the basis of Western periodization, that is, into ancient, medieval, and modern periods, creates misconceptions. The period of modernization in the Western world was actually a time of slavery under the British for India, and was therefore accompanied by social and economic problems. Dates convey the exact time of the historical event and help to arrange events chronologically. Thus, we can say that history is synonymous with dates. Click on the tabs for a recap about the importance of dates, chronology, and periods in history.